Howdy friends, Bernardo Spinello here from ArTiSt, and I hope you're all doing great. This is a weird one, slice of life video, but still just kind of talking about something that's been kind of bubbling up in the background for me, and I've been thinking about and kind of even worrying about for myself. But I find myself now not wanting to look into the creators that I'm into. Let's say there's a war game that I'm interested in. Let's say there's a company that I like. I don't think I want to look them up on X or YouTube or anything else, because I'm tired of coming across crazy. I'm tired of coming across creators who seem to want to divide their communities via politics, hot button issues, or whatever. It's weird finding out that somebody whose work you really, really like hates you because you think a certain way, and to them you are nothing, you're a chud, you are trash, you're evil and all that. Or they believe in, let's say, just say they believe in some things you're like, no, and it's just, it's hard. Very recently there was someone who went on a podcast. I had no idea who this person was. I just was a fan of the podcast, and during that podcast, the guy was hyped up to go after these people on the podcast decided today we're going to make fun of. Well, I and several friends of mine are the other, and it was really weird. Like, are you guys really doing this? Like, this podcast was just launched not too long ago, and it was going to be kind of like a back insider look into who they are, how they think, what their life is like as creators as they travel the convention circuits in their various things. And I was like, cool. And the first few episodes were funny, and then this episode, they just so happened to start making fun of people who thought a certain way. My cat just jumped on the table, so this is her tail. Anyway, it was sad and frustrating, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, sit through the whole thing, and maybe try to understand their arguments. And it was just like 2 hours of, everyone we don't agree with is an alt-right Nazi and a chud, and that was disappointing. So obviously I unsubscribed from them. I'm like, you know what, I don't think I want to follow these guys anymore. Like, both of them are artists. I like both of their work, and they're even creators of some sorts, but I don't want to support with views or even money anymore people who don't seemingly like or respect me because I hold a certain opinion. And but on that very episode, they had a guest on who was just like rocking back and forth with excitement, like, oh yeah, now's the time to talk. And the dude, when he had his chance, just went off on the conservative chuds, blah, 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 blah. And he was just like really seemingly living for the moment to be condescending to the other. And I had no idea who this guy was. I just knew one thing. I was never going to support that guy's game again. He showed up to promote a thing. And I've done this video several times already. But I decided to try to make it as middle of the road as possible, because sure, I can call out names and say I'm never supporting this stuff. I mean, I've said it on my streams and stuff, but at the same time, it's just like, there's enough of that. There's enough of that sort of, this person's bad out there. So I don't really want to do that in video form. Anyway, so I come to find out that guy created one of my absolute favorite games, and it's just like, and then I was like, well, I'm just not going to buy anything else he's done. And for a while, I was able to just completely ignore him. And then recently, I came upon another game that's coming out, just came out. It looks really great. Jasmine likes it a lot. I like it a lot. The art design's amazing. The world setting sounds great. And then I find out that guy's the lead designer, face on it, head on it, representative of it. And I'm like, And I was like, damn, Now, granted, my personal annoyance with this person could have just been based on he just had a bad day and it's like a rant, but I just didn't like that negativity. So I went back and rewatched, like, nah. And then I saw some other videos, like, nah, this is what this is about. And I find myself not wanting to support projects from creators who don't like me. And I chatted with a few friends about this, and they're all in the same agreement. Like, nowadays, for a lot of men of my generation, it's like we vote with our wallets. And why pay someone who hates you unless you have to? So, like, you know what? I'm not buying that game. I'm not buying that game, and I'm gonna stick to that. And then yesterday I was looking into another game that I really like. Okay, this looks really cool. This looks really cool. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm on the YouTube channel looking up tutorials. How does it work? What's the crowdfunding gonna be like? Because it's an upcoming game. And then they're promoting some stuff that I'm like, I just don't like that. I just really don't like that. We're not going to get into it. But once again, I'm like, maybe, no. I have enough games that I don't need to support an upcoming project, and I don't want to support companies who have viewpoints and who promote things that I think are serious that I don't like. And it's just interesting. It's kind of a luxury, really, where we can choose where we spend our money. We can vote for the wallets. We can vote with, do we want to support some people who have this agenda per se, or who have this worldview that is the complete contrast to how you feel, or you think is appropriate, or do you want to support people who actively dislike you? And for me, it's no. But then I was looking up, okay, is there anything new or interesting? And I find myself like dreading now going on X or YouTube or anything else, because the other side of it is everyone has something. Everyone has something. Like I am good friends with a whole bunch of people. I don't agree with a lot of what they say. Now, the one thing about my friends and I are we can respectfully disagree. There have been plenty of conversations we've had, and it's like, you know what? Let's just stop here. We're both getting heated. I really don't agree with this, and it's vice versa. And we're still able to maintain like a sense of composure, which is hard as heck these days to find people you could just talk to and say, hey, look, this guy believes in all sorts of this cray-cray. And then he's looking at me, he's like, look, this guy thinks in all sorts of cray-cray. But we still like each other. We still have a lot in common. We're still friends. And I have that with a bunch of people, and it's wonderful. So this is kind of a rant, me just thinking, like, on the one hand, maybe I don't have to cut off companies that I don't agree with them on all their points. They can, maybe this year they're promoting that, and maybe next year they'll wake up. Or it's current management, or current investor stuff, whatever. But, I will say, I still don't want to support some creations from a creator who's basically like, fuck you if you don't like me, if you think a certain way. I don't like that. Especially when it's they're leaning to, they're trying to be divisive. Right now, this is November 14th, it's 8:50 a.m. and everyone is still raw in America about the election, even around the world. And one of the weird things that has happened is every election year is, I'm gonna pick on artists. Artists go crazy. And I've seen quite a few people before and after the election going, if you support this, then fuck you, die. And it's just the weirdest thing, the absolute weirdest thing. Like you're a struggling artist and you're telling half your customer base to fuck off. Now I get that if you're already very successful, but it's hilarious when you see this happen with struggling artists, because you know if you follow artists in like a couple weeks or something, emergency commissions, I gotta make rent, and it's just like, you kind of did this to yourself, man. And I've seen that in all sorts of things. I've seen that in video games. I've seen it in like art. I've seen it with like music stuff. And I don't get it. I don't. I was during the election day in New York City, in America, I had to escape the election sort of stream where we just live stream and not talk about it. And the next day, no matter who won, I was gonna have a victory party for whatever, and like we'll just happy no matter what. And then when I saw the amount of cray that was happening online, like maybe we'll just leave that alone. Because I felt like it just by having a for funsies thing like that, I would just have the crazies pour out, and I'm like, I'm just not in the mood. And and it hit me, no matter what side won, it was still gonna have some crazies who are just there to just like ah. Anyway, so this is just like kind of a random slice of life, me talking through things. Like, I don't know, how do you feel about things? Do you care? There's a saying, separate the artist from the art. I know personally for me, I try my best, my very best, not to look up actors or voice actors. Because when I go to a movie, for example, I hate, or listen to or watch an anime, I hate knowing that this guy or that woman is batshit completely. And I wholeheartedly disagree with everything they've ever thought or said, or they're super jerk to everyone, or they're just crazy, like super crazy. And it's just, especially like with the American voice actor scene, there's quite a few that should not have access to social media because they seem intent upon burning bridges. Some of them, unfortunately, and fortunately for them, I guess, are very good voice actors, so they get into a bunch of roles. But it's just really weird. It's like, oh, it's that douchebag or that crazy cunt. It's just like, oh, that voice. And I hate that voice acting. And the same thing for actors. Like when you see that actor always virtue signaling on X or some other program, or going on the news feed trying to be political, trying to insert themselves into everyday topics, it rips me out of TV shows and movies and whatnot, because that guy was just on the news today talking about this. And so I try to keep a distance between me and media creators. And maybe I should do that with like board game stuff and video game stuff. Although the video game stuff, that one hits a little close to home for me because like it really affects the video game. But anyway, like from now on, maybe, and I'm putting serious thought behind this, maybe I should just try my best to avoid any sort of social media from any of these companies, because this is an escape for me. This is just an escape for me. And I just don't want to have to think about like, oh, this company hates me. This person who made this game hates me. Oh, this person promotes that sick shit. Oh, these people are just crazy. But the games are fun. Like really at the end of the day, I just want to find fun games to play with my girlfriend. I can have fun games I could just like share with you guys and recommend. I don't know, I'm overthinking. This is me just overthinking. What do you think? Do any of you go through this? Do any of you find yourselves just finding it harder and harder to like and respect the creators of games that you like? I don't know. Let me know what you think. I mean, honestly, I worry about that as a creator myself, because for a while when I first started streaming, I was worried about putting too much of myself out there because I'm kind of an asshole. At times, it can be very nice, but it's exhausting having that little be polite all the time stuff going on. And when I have opened up, I have gained followers for it and lost followers for it. And it's just like, well, I guess that's just the nature of the beast. But I try really, really hard to not be that divisive prick, because I know you can find an audience doing that. I know it. I see it all the time. They're the people who have the us and them, and they rail against them all the time. Everything's about how they are affecting us. Blah 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 blah. And it's way too much negativity for me. I don't know. I'm trying to find that line, but I still don't want to support that one guy who pissed me off games. Even if I find myself not having access to a few things, at least for now, I'm gonna hold on to that little bit of hatred. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll run into the guy. I'm like, yo, what's up, man? I mean, worst case scenario, you could be just like, I had a bad day and I wanted to vent on something and I just targeted this, because we've all had those days where you just say, diarrhea comes out our mouths. It could have just been that, no big deal, not really a douchebag in real life, or that's who he is, and it's just like the curtain dropped, whatever. Overthinking. Anyway, I would love to know your thoughts on this sort of thing. Seriously. Like, how do you feel when you find a creator whose work you really like and then you find out more about them and you don't like it? Are you able to separate the artist and the art? Do you just realize, you know what, I like this so much, I'm just gonna ignore that and try never to think about that again? I remember a couple years ago, there was like a few TV shows my friends loved, but the actors on there were very vocal on everything and were really against who they were personally. And they're just like, oh, if only this guy wasn't this. I love him in the show, but he's such an asshole in real life. It's like, I don't know. He's like this kind of is a huge case for, I think, having an intermediary between you and the creators. Like, maybe you don't want to know about Warlord Games or like follow various creators, or maybe you don't want to have to follow Games Workshop or anything else in like yourself, because it's exhausting. And there's all the PR stuff. Maybe you could find a creator who you like, and then they'll be the middleman, and you trust that creator's suggestions. You get what I'm saying? And then with that creator, you can trust if they say, no, this is not for you, this is crazy, in my opinion. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's a good way to keep yourself, away from the toxicity that is the social medias and the idiot chambers. I don't know. I'm navigating this all. I'm new to all this. And I'm always looking for new things. I'm always looking for new indie things, because it's not like I have a beef with Game Workshop per se, or like a big problem with Mantic or any of these like other larger companies. But I love the idea of supporting smaller things that I've never heard of. So I go and I look for this, and then sometimes I like what I find, sometimes I really don't like what I find. And this is where this video comes in, where it's just like, anywho, happy Thursday. I'm gonna try to get this out quickly. I didn't sleep last night, so let's see how long I can make it today. Anyway, I gotta go because I have to get some work done.